Right now, somewhere in the cold black water off Greenland, there's a shark moving slowly through the dark. It was already alive when the first pilgrims landed in America. It was swimming when George Washington was born, when the telephone was invented, when your grandparents were kids. And it's still out there tonight, still hunting, still not old. You're going to grow old. So is your dog. Your goldfish got maybe a few years. A mayfly, out on some summer river, will hatch, mate, and die before the sun comes up. One single day, start to finish. That's the deal for almost everything alive. You get your time, your body slowly wears down, and then it's over. Except a handful of animals never signed that contract. There's a clam that was alive before Shakespeare wrote a single play. A whale with harpoon tips buried in its blubber from the 1800s, still swimming around today. A little pink rodent that, as far as scientists can tell, has almost no chance of dying of old age at all. So here's the question nobody has fully answered. Why do some animals just never grow old? And what do they know that we don't? Let's start with the shark, because it holds the record. The Greenland shark lives in freezing Arctic water, sometimes almost 2 miles down, where the sea is barely above the temperature at which it would turn to ice. It moves so slowly that sleeping seals are one of its main meals. It basically ambushes things by being the last creature they'd ever expect to be dangerous. For a long time, nobody had any idea how old these things got. You can't count rings on a shark. So in 2016, a marine biologist named Julius Nielsen tried something clever. The lens in a Greenland shark's eye forms before it's even born, and it never gets replaced for the rest of its life. The carbon locked inside that lens is basically a stopwatch that started at birth. So he and his team radiocarbon dated the eyes. The number that came back was insane. The oldest female in the study came out at around 392 years old, give or take a bit, which means the biggest Greenland sharks alive right now were born around the year 1620. They were already swimming before the first telescope was ever pointed at Jupiter. They are, officially, the longest living animals with a backbone on the entire planet. And here's the part that really gets me. They don't even reach adulthood until they're about 150. Think about that for a second. A creature that spends its first century and a half just becoming a teenager. For years, everyone assumed the cold explained the whole thing. Slow water, slow body, slow life. But a study in 2026 found something stranger. The shark's heart doesn't dodge aging the way people expected. It ages. Its cells take damage like anyone's, but its body is freakishly good at cushioning that damage, buffering it year after year for 4 straight centuries. The clock still ticks. The shark just keeps soaking up the wear and never lets it pile up into failure. Now, 400 years is staggering. But the Greenland shark isn't even the oldest animal we've ever found. That title goes to a clam. In 2006, a research team from Bangor University in Wales was dredging the seabed off the coast of Iceland, pulling up ocean quahog clams to study old climate patterns. They brought up about 200 of them. One of those clams, an unremarkable little thing you could hold in the palm of your hand, turned out to be the oldest individual animal ever recorded. Its shell, like a tree trunk, grows a new layer every single year. So you can count the years the same way you count rings on a stump. And when they finally counted this one carefully, the total came to 507. 507 years. This clam was born around the year 1499. Christopher Columbus was still alive. Leonardo da Vinci was still painting. It sat on the bottom of the ocean, quietly filtering water, through the entire reign of Queen Elizabeth, through Shakespeare's whole career, through the Napoleonic Wars, through both world wars. And it was still alive when they pulled it up onto the boat. They named it Ming, after the Chinese dynasty that was in power the year it was born. There's a dark little punchline here. To count those rings precisely, the scientists had to open the shell, which killed it. So the oldest animal ever discovered was, by accident, killed by the very people who discovered how old it was. The lead scientist, James Scorse, got angry emails calling his team clam murderers. His defense was pretty fair, honestly. People eat this exact species in clam chowder all the time, and plenty of those are hundreds of years old too. Nobody writes angry emails about those. So what keeps a clam ticking for 5 centuries? A brutally slow metabolism, very low oxygen use, and cells that just keep repairing themselves, decade after decade. Same theme as the shark. Slow, cold, and relentlessly good at fixing damage. So far, everything on this list is cold-blooded. Slow metabolism, freezing water. You can almost explain it away. A clam isn't exactly living hard. But then there's the bowhead whale, and the bowhead breaks the easy explanation completely. Bowheads are the second largest animal on Earth. Over 80,000 kilograms, warm-blooded, living up in the Arctic. And they live past 200 years. We didn't guess that number. We found stone harpoon tips and old bomb lance fragments buried inside living whales. Weapons that hadn't been made since the Victorian era, still stuck in animals that were swimming around perfectly alive in the 2000s. These whales had already survived being hunted a full century before your grandparents were born. Now here's the puzzle that drove biologists crazy. A creature that big has a staggering number of cells, and every single cell division is a fresh chance for cancer to start. By all logic, a 200-year-old, 80-ton animal should be riddled with tumors. It almost never is. Scientists actually have a name for this contradiction. They call it Peto's paradox. The strange fact that the biggest, longest-lived animals get less cancer, not more. In 2025, a team at the University of Rochester, led by Vera Gorbanova and Andrei Saluanov, cracked a big piece of it. They found a protein called SERP, and bowhead whales are absolutely loaded with it. Around 100 times more than other mammals. That protein is a repair crew. It fixes the worst kind of DNA damage, the double-strand breaks that turn healthy cells cancerous. Instead of killing off the damaged cells, the whale just repairs them, cleanly, over and over, for 200 years. And they noticed one more thing that's almost funny. Cold seems to crank that protein way up, which has led scientists to seriously wonder whether something as simple as a cold shower could nudge the same repair system in us. Gorbanova's own words were blunt. This shows it's possible to live longer than a human normally does. We just have to understand how. By now you might be noticing a pattern. Cold, deep water keeps showing up, and the next animal fits it perfectly. But it comes with a twist that turns out to be the key to the whole mystery. In the deep, cold waters of the North Pacific lives a fish called the Ruckei rockfish. It can live over 205 years. A Ruckei caught by a fishing boat today could have hatched back in 1821, before the American Civil War, before Darwin ever set sail on the Beagle. A fish older than photography itself. But here's the twist. The rockfish family has more than 100 species, and they do not age at the same rate at all. Some, like the little calico rockfish, live barely more than 10 years. Others, like the Ruckei, push past 2 centuries. Same family, same basic body plan, wildly different lifespans. And that's a gift to scientists, because it lets you line up the genomes side by side and ask a simple question. What's different in the code of the ones that live forever? That's exactly what Peter Sudman's lab at UC Berkeley did in 2021. They sequenced 88 species of rockfish and hunted for the genes that tracked with long life. They found 137 of them. And a lot of those genes were involved in, you guessed it, DNA repair and controlling inflammation. Even stranger, some of the very same genes show up when you compare short-lived and long-lived humans. There's a catch though, and it's a sad one. The fish that live the longest also breed the slowest. Their whole population leans on a few very old, very large females that pump out millions of eggs. Which means a rockfish population, once it gets overfished, can take almost as long to recover as human history itself. Living for centuries turns out to be a gift with a very sharp edge. Sudman put the reality check nicely. We are not, he said, about to make hybrid rockfish humans and live forever. But knowing which genes to even look at, that's where the real medicine starts. Okay, cold water, slow fish, ancient clams. Let's leave the ocean for a minute, because the strangest animal on this whole list lives underground, it's warm-blooded, and it looks like a sausage with teeth. The naked mole rat. It's a small, wrinkled, nearly blind rodent that lives in tunnels under East Africa, and it appears to break one of the most reliable rules in all of biology. Back in 1825, a mathematician named Benjamin Gompertz noticed something that has held up for almost 200 years. For basically every animal, including you, the risk of dying doubles at a steady rate as you get older. For humans, after about age 30, your chance of dying roughly doubles every 8 years. That steady climb is what aging actually looks like on a graph. It's called the Gompertz law, and it's about as close to an iron law as biology ever gets. The naked mole rat just ignores it. Rochelle Buffenstein spent decades collecting data on more than 3,000 of them at a research company called Calico. And what she found was that after they hit 6 months old, a mole rat's daily risk of dying simply flattens out. 1 in 10,000, day after day, and it does not go up with age. A 30-year-old naked mole rat is, statistically, no more likely to die tomorrow than a 2-year-old one. They almost never get cancer. Their hearts, their bones, their brains barely seem to decline at all. For a mammal, that's not supposed to be possible. Now, I want to be honest with you here, because that's the whole point of this channel. Not everyone is convinced. Critics point out that not that many mole rats have actually been tracked all the way to the very end of their lives, so maybe they do age eventually, just much, much later than anyone expected. Buffenstein reran her numbers and got the same answer. The debate is still open, but even the skeptics agree the naked mole rat is doing something no other mammal we know of can do. Everything up to this point still dies eventually. 400 years, 500 years. Long, but finite. So let me leave you with the two animals that might not have an expiration date at all. The first is the hydra. It's a tiny freshwater creature, about a centimeter long, basically a little tube with a crown of tentacles, related to the jellyfish. And here's the wild thing about it. Its body is packed with stem cells that are constantly, endlessly replacing every part of it. It is always rebuilding itself from scratch. A biologist named Daniel Martinez watched hydra for years, then more years, an 8-year study, just waiting for them to show any sign of aging. They never did. Their odds of dying didn't rise. Their fertility didn't drop. As far as the data goes, a hydra simply does not grow old. And when researchers switched off the genes behind that constant renewal, the hydra suddenly started aging like anything else. So we know the mechanism is real. And then there's the animal that does the most ridiculous thing of all. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii. It's about 4 millimeters across, smaller than your fingernail. When one gets injured, or sick, or starving, or just too stressed, it does something that should be impossible. It goes backward. A full adult jellyfish sinks to the bottom, and its cells reorganize themselves all the way back into a baby, an earlier stage of its own life, and it starts the whole thing over again. Picture an old man collapsing, and instead of dying, melting back into a toddler and standing up to grow all over again. In theory, it can run that loop forever. I have to be fair here, because the internet absolutely loves to oversell this one. These animals are not unkillable. A fish still eats the jellyfish. A drought still dries out the hydra. Biological immortality just means they don't die from getting old. They dodge the one thing that gets the rest of us for certain. So step back and look at all of them together. A shark, a clam, a whale, a fish, a rodent, a jellyfish. What actually connects them? The obvious answer is cold and slow. And for a while, that really did seem to be it. Freezing water, sluggish metabolism, live your whole life in slow motion. But the naked mole rat blows that idea apart. It's warm, it's active, it's tiny, and it still refuses to age. So the cold can't be the real answer. When you look closer, the thing they all share isn't where they live. It's what's happening deep inside their cells. Every single one of them is extraordinary at one specific job, keeping their own genetic code intact. The shark and the whale repair their DNA with almost supernatural precision. The clam and the rockfish just keep patching up damage for centuries. The hydra throws out its old cells and grows fresh ones non-stop. The jellyfish reboots the entire system. Because aging, at the very bottom, is really just damage piling up faster than your body can fix it. And these animals, in completely different ways, on completely separate branches of the tree of life, all independently stumbled onto the same trick. Fix the damage as fast as it appears, and the pile never grows. Evolution solved the exact same problem at least 6 different times. And that's the part that should stop you cold, because it quietly suggests that aging isn't carved into the laws of the universe. Somewhere in these animals, evolution treated it like a problem with a solution, and then wrote that solution 6 different ways. Which brings us right back to why anyone would pour money into studying a sausage-shaped rodent and a clam. The scientists chasing these animals, Gorbanova with her whales, Sudmet with his fish, they aren't dreaming about living for 500 years. They're after something more useful than that. If a bowhead whale can go 2 full centuries almost without cancer, then the genes and proteins that let it do that are a map. A map towards stopping the diseases that slowly age the rest of us out of existence. And they are all quick to pump the brakes. Nobody is turning you into a jellyfish. This is slow, careful, decades-long science. But the door is open now. For your entire life, and every life that came before yours, aging looked like the one appointment nobody ever misses. The tax you pay for being alive. These animals are the quiet exceptions that hint it might not have to be that way forever. So the next time a birthday lands a little heavier than the last one, think about that shark. Right now, tonight, it's still down there in the black Arctic water, moving slow, its heart still beating steady after 400 years. It was old before your country even had a name. And it isn't counting.